Wednesday, October 31st, 2018, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. This morning I want to talk about the technical picture for the stock market, for some of the currencies, for sterling especially, look at gold and silver as well briefly. And aside from that, I want to look at, give you like a preview of Paul Volcker, the former Fed chairman back in the early 80s. He's come out with a new book called Keeping at It, The Quest for Sound Money and Good Government. And that book came out yesterday in the Kindle version, and I got it. And I've read more than half of it, well, about half of it. And there's some interesting things he says. I will do a review or a synopsis of the book when I'm finished. Hopefully I'll be able to finish it today, maybe do a live stream later on about it, or tomorrow. There's some very interesting things he talks about. And I want to give you a little like preview of what he says. I can't like make any conclusions about the guy because I haven't read the whole thing. And I want to quickly look at the UK budget, which came out a few days ago, and what I think of it in general. Before that, of course, I will look at what the markets are doing this morning. It's 8 a.m. London. I'm having my end of Fed mug coffee. Of course, you can find these if you're interested. It's a Maneco 64 in the Fed mug in the Maneco 64 store. So 8 a.m. What are the markets doing this morning? Yesterday, of course, we had a good rally in the stock market. The Dow was up 431 or 1.77%. S&P up 41. 1.57%, and the Nasdaq actually was up 111, 1.58%. But interesting that it did not. Usually, when we see the markets rebound, we see the Nasdaq do a lot better. It's a little bit like when precious metals go up, silver should outperform. So let's quickly go through the prices, and then I'll look at the charts. So gold continuing lower. Not surprising about after what happened on Friday with the blatant manipulation of the price after we made a new high above 1240. We're now 1214.80, down about 8 for no particular reason except that I think the powers that be trying to control the price at the moment from going too far up. So the range has been 1223.50 to 1214.71. So we're right near the lows. This is an important support around here. It was a level that, from which we broke out a few weeks ago when we had a big rally in gold. It was around the 1212, 1215 area. So we're retesting it. Silver is 1431, up, down 16 cents or 16 cents, down 1%, 14.50 the high, 14.31 the low, right on the lows here as I'm talking. And right now, of course, it's 4 a.m. New York time. We're only 4 hours ahead. The Dow is up another 116 here, up 0.5%, just below 25,000. S&P up 15 at 2697. And the Nasdaq 100 futures up 54 or 0.8%. Yeah, as you see, the currencies, the fiat currencies are doing very little against the dollar. That's why I find it really strange that gold is moving at all. So something's going on. The pound is up slightly, 0.15% at 127.25. Euro is 113.52, up 8, and the dollar is only up 7 pips against the yen at 113.20. The dollar yuan, dollar is up 0.1% at 697.68. Crude oil, WTI is up 1% at 66.87. Brent is up 1.2% at 76.86. And the bond markets, the 10-year yield is continuing to rebound. We were at 307 on Friday at the close, and it's now 314. So that's not a good indicator for overall health of the markets, financial markets, but they're still seemingly ignoring that. So quickly look at the technicals. I still think that the stock market is not out of the woods yet. I guess it hasn't really kind of worked. It has worked out like a flag, but it hasn't been a straight down flag. We've had kind of a smaller flag in the Dow, as you can see, and then it was on Monday, I think, when we rallied 250 points in the last 20 minutes. You could have said that was maybe the completion of the flag, just above 24,000 there. So, and now we're rebounding, but I think we could rebound for the next few days or so, but it's like a cascading fall here, as you can see. Maybe that's a new technical term. So still not out of the woods. I've got the moving averages here. The green is the 50-day, the black is the 100-day, and the red is the 200-day. Still looks okay for the Dow, but look at for the S&P. It looks like we're almost ready to break the 50-day, ready to break below the 100-day. And that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign, because in a bull market, the 50, 100, and 200 are supposed to stay above each other, respectively. So same kind of picture here for the S&P, cascading fall. Again, we could maybe rally a day or two more, and then just come back down. That's what it looks like to me. You could call it another continuing dead cat bounces as well. Nasdaq. Well, the Nasdaq is even worse in terms of the how can I say, the moving averages. Look at 50-day has gone below, clearly below the 100-day. Another cascading event here, or recurring dead cat bounces. And the other thing about the Nasdaq, look at this trend line, clearly broken that trend line, so it doesn't look very good at all. We've also got a double top for the year, or for the high beginning of September and the high in beginning of October. So that's the technical picture there for the stock market. Gold, as I said, we need to hold on to this 12.15 level. We'll have to see if we do before we go on to Paul Volcker. Well, the UK budget. First of all, I'd like to say that they make a very big deal out of the budget here in the UK. It's all in the newspapers, the tabloids, everything. And I find it depressing. And why? Well, because it's too important. It's in my opinion, it shows how the government is in control of the general public. They're giving us £20 a month more from this and this. It just shows that the government is too big, controls too much of our lives. But anyway, I'd like to see what the economists thought about it. And I wanted to just have a synopsis. And it says, Philip Hammond finds the magic money tree. So what they talk about is that the reason why he's increasing spending is that the OBR, which is called the Office for Budget Responsibility, which is supposed to be independent, they forecast that things are going to get so much better that he's going to be able to spend more. And I listened to briefly him talk on the radio the other day, and it wasn't even live. Someone on YouTube had, and he was talking about how the country is paying down its debts, which is complete rubbish, of course, because we're still running a budget deficit. The national debt's still going up because we're not running down our debts. We might be decreasing the budget deficit, and that's what he should have said, but the debt is still increasing. So what does the Economist says? Well, they say on October 29th, when Philip Hammond delivered his third budget, it was a different story. The OBR had handed him a juicy upgrade in the fiscal forecast. The financial year, this financial year, Britain will borrow just 26 billion pounds, $33 billion, around 1% of GDP, 10 billion less than expected back in March. Across the OBR's forecast, which runs to 2023, Britain's public finances are some 60 billion healthier. So anyway, we're going to have to wait till April to see if this budget deficit figure is really up to scratch. But one thing I have to say, I think the government, the Bank of England, they're still manipulating interest rates, because I've noticed that the UK 10-year yield has dropped quite sharply in the last week or two. But the end result is that our currency, the pound, it still looks very sick. And I've spoken about that, and I'll show you the chart here quickly. I made a chart about this head and shoulder, and I think, you know, it's financial repression. They're trying to keep savers away from saving. They want people to borrow and spend, and that's why they're manipulating interest rates lower. But the other side of the coin is that our currency is going to keep dropping. And look at the head and shoulder formation that we're forming. I could see, you know, the pound trading towards 125 very easily in the next month or so. And it doesn't look good, the picture for the pound. So how do you protect yourself? I still stick to precious metals. People ask me, where can I get precious metals in the UK? Well, Gold Investments is .co.uk is a good place, and you can get a 0.5% discount using the Monaco64 promo code. There are others like Atkinson's bullion.com, but they haven't been able to provide me a promo code. You might get a better deal there. What about Paul Volcker? So I did, yesterday was when the book came out. So I've had a chance to read quite a bit of it. I read yesterday, there's 288 pages. I've read 131. So I can't really give you my verdict on the guy. But I have to say, as far as central bankers go, I would say, if you can say that, he's one that if I had to pick one to run a central bank, he would be the one. Seems to be an honest, down-to-earth person. But one of the interesting things that he said, that I've been taking notes, and I'm not going to give you everything because I want to leave it, the whole, you know, all interesting tidbits when I finish the book, and probably do a live stream. Hopefully later on today, if not tomorrow. Depends if I finish the book. So on page 104, this is what he says. Looked at from the present vantage point, it is clear the necessary compromises and discipline inherent in maintaining an orderly international monetary system have been absent. And this is interesting. He calls what we have now a non-system. He says, this non-system, and I quote him on that, has prevailed for almost 50 years. So it's interesting that he doesn't even bring up the petrodollar. He actually says we have a non-system. Most countries do not want to impose the discipline of a sound monetary system. So that's Paul Volcker. Interesting book. It's called Keeping at It, The Quest for Sound Money and Good Government. I highly recommend it. I think it cost me $12 on Kindle. I'm not sure if the hardcover is available in the US yet. In the UK, I think it's only going to be available in December. But I've gotten a head start, and I'll come back with more about the book and see my final verdict on Mr. Volcker. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can also follow me on Steemit, DTube, and on Twitter. I wish you all a great day. I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.